An Australian journalist working in China has been detained by the Chinese government in a highly sensitive case, posing a fresh challenge to Australia-China relations. Cheng Lei is a TV presenter for the Chinese government's English language TV network CGTN. Friends and family have been unable to contact her for weeks, and the Foreign Affairs Department has confirmed that she's been detained in Beijing. Australian diplomats were able to speak to her via video link a few days ago. Cheng Lei hasn't been formally arrested or charged and could be kept for up to 6 months without access to lawyers. And Professor Katelyn Byrne is the director of the Griffith Asia Institute, and she joins us now from Brisbane. Katelyn Byrne, welcome. So first off, what can you tell us about this broadcaster?
Right, well, good to be with you, Joe. Thanks for the opportunity. China Global Television Network is really part of an international broadcasting network. It's part of a state-owned media approach that China has to broadcasting its story to the rest of the world. And it's one of 6 foreign language news outlets. So this is a big part of China's soft power push to the rest of the world. Broadcasting is incredibly important in that profile. So this is very high profile and a really interesting case from that perspective.
And what do you know about Cheng Lei?
Well, I think Cheng Lei's been working with the broadcaster for a number of years, since 2012, I understand. She's incredibly well known in China. She's been heading up the global business program and really reporting on Asia business for, well over a decade. So this case is particularly shocking. We know that she's been detained. We don't know any more than that. There are no reasons that have been given. And at the moment, she's in residential house arrest, essentially, which can be the case for up to 6 months. So I think the next few weeks is going to be really critical in seeing how this case might unfold.
Yeah, and so no idea at all as to the reason behind this?
No, there's been nothing, no mention given, and in fact it's been pretty quiet actually. We know that the Department of Foreign Affairs and Trade was alerted to this detention on the 14th of August. That's a couple, over a week ago. There's been very little discussion around it. So I think this goes in many ways to the opacity of the Chinese system in many regards, but I do think it's quite unusual, it's fairly shocking and quite worrying as well.
Yeah, and you say this is, you've described this as particularly shocking, but is it in the context of what's happening with the broader Australia-China relationship at the moment?
Yeah, that's a really good point. And we know that the relationship is on rocky ground and certainly has been described as being frayed over the last several years and would be at a low point. You could see this as playing into that bilateral relationship, but I think there's a bigger picture at play here, Joe, and that relates to China's growing assertion on the global stage, and in particular the push by Chairman Xi Jinping to really raise China's standing on the global stage, and also to protect his own power and consolidate his power within the country. So I think there's a much larger picture at play, but of course the Australia-China relationship fits into that.
Yeah. And what did you make of that top Chinese official's address to the National Press Club in the last week or so, where he made a particular point about the feelings of the Chinese people being hurt by Australia's push for an investigation into the source of coronavirus?
Look, I think that's very much the party line. That's not unexpected in many ways. On the other hand, I also think it was really good to see that he came out and spoke. Now, that is also unusual, and he did so in a reasonably affable way, although we know that there were some very clear diplomatic signals given through that speech that China isn't particularly pleased with the approach that Australia has taken on the coronavirus issue and on other issues over, the past few years. So I think it plays into a broader China narrative, and we can't sort of forget that bigger picture.
And Katelyn, are you aware of many other Australians or foreigners who'd be working for these Chinese broadcasters now? And if you were one of those, would you be a bit concerned about your position and very careful about what you're saying in the workplace?
Well, I think with this particular television network, it has a foreign, international outlook. So there are foreigners working right across the network, and it does broadcast in a number of international languages. So it wouldn't be unexpected to have a number of foreign correspondents within it. Look, I think on the question of how people are feeling, whether they're in China at the moment, I can only speak from an Australian perspective. We have seen the DFAT travel advisory rate upgraded, if you like, over recent months, just putting out the caution about the potential for arbitrary detention in China, and that fits into a pattern of behaviour that we've seen from China over the last couple of years. So I think there's certainly heightened anxiety around foreigners working in China, particularly if they may be in positions where they're critical of the current government or party line.
Okay, Katelyn Byrne, thanks so much for talking to us this morning from Brisbane.
Thanks so much, Joe.